Hello EFD squad and welcome back to the World Cup review with me and Captain Copper B over here. His thumb is up. We're going to go straight for the winner. That's what it was insinuated. Instead of the talking point. The talking point has been replaced by a World Cup preview for England, Colombia, and that's going to come at the end of these sections. Our first winner is Kylian Mbappe, big time, Mbappe. I cracked one out to his performance.
Wow. Anyway, yes, we are starting with Kylian Mbappe, aren't we? Because the 19-year-old scored twice for Les Bleus against Argentina and blew my bloody socks off in the process. He was actually the first teenager to score a World Cup brace since who, Hamill?
Oh, Owen.
Pelé in 1958. That is absolutely ridiculous. He was also key as well for France's first goal, wasn't he? Griezmann's penalty as well. And quite frankly, he demolished that Argentina side. He was ridiculous. His pace is scintillating. Apparently, he reached at one stage 38 kilometers an hour. I think that was probably when he was chasing that Giroud through ball maybe. But either way, that is actually faster than Usain Bolt averages in a 100-meter race. That is absolutely mind-blowing.
It's like a gazelle.
Yeah, another forward for France though. Antoine Griezmann had a good game, didn't he? He scored 6 goals in 5 knockout stage games at major tournaments for France. That's both World Cup and Euros. So a real big game player when you see the likes of Messi and Ronaldo yet to score a World Cup knockout stage goal. Griezmann has done it, hasn't he? So congratulations, Antoine. But the goal of the game goes to Pavard, doesn't it? Because for me, the goal of the tournament so far.
Oh, mate.
The form, as the F2 would say, the swaz on it.
Yeah.
Honestly, incredible. It was like backspinning. It was insane.
I think I had Jez's head explode when that went in.
I know, it was just perfectly struck, and a piece of art. But despite Argentina having more possession than the French, as many shots as the French, and scoring 3 goals, I thought that France were by far the better side. I actually don't think it matters that they have little possession. I think this is the lowest amount of possession they've had at a World Cup since 1966, just because they are so deadly on the counter-attack with the pace of Antoine Griezmann and Mbappe.
Griezmann. Yeah, but this is heavily dependent, this system, isn't it, on having a player like Paul Pogba, who actually had a standout game against the Argentines, showing he can do it without playing on the left in a 4-3-3. Jose Mourinho, take note. Paul Pogba's defensive output was sound as well on the night. He made 10 recoveries against Argentina, twice as many as any other France player, considering he's in the starting XI with N'Golo Kante and Blaise Matuidi. That is no mean feat. Only Kante had more touches than his Pogba's 65 in a French shirt. He also delivered a lovely ball over the top from Mbappe. It was like a Hail Mary, wasn't it? It just came straight down for him, which almost led to a second penalty. Paul Pogba on the day completed 2 dribbles, 2 tackles and 2 aerial duels. Finally putting in a masterclass at this World Cup.
Nice to see.
Argentina, on the other hand, looked as disorganised as they have throughout the whole tournament, with 4 of their defenders and 2 of their central defensive midfielders committing 13 fouls between them. They just couldn't handle that pace and the way France sort of transitioned through the middle, could they really? And this is a pretty unwanted record, a bit of a nugget for you. This is the first time in history that Argentina have lost a competitive game when scoring 3+ goals. And that is across 430 fixtures.
That's insane.
So we had a feast of football, didn't we? We got to see some goals, but I actually think Argentina were very fortunate to finish the game with such a misleading scoreline, let's say. Messi aside, who registered 2 assists on the night, they looked abysmal. Now Messi is the first Argentinian players with 2 assists in a World Cup game since Diego Maradona in 1986. Now the big question on everyone's lips, will he retire or will he grace the World Cup again at 35 years of age? I'd imagine if the Argentinian FA is run, if it's continued to be run as it has, in the preceding 10 years, then no, because they've been nothing short of a disgrace. It's a shame that Tata Martino, didn't lead them to this World Cup after leading them to back-to-back finals in the Copa Americas. Yeah, so there's no continuity there, is there? Shambles.
Yeah, Sampaoli got it horribly wrong. I really didn't think it worked playing Messi as a false nine whatsoever. I actually looked at an average position map, might be able to find it on Twitter if the editor can find it, and there is just a gaping hole where a striker should have been on the night. And then some of his substitutions, bringing on Meza when he's got Dybala on the bench, was just infuriating, quite frankly. I thought Meza was poor throughout the tournament and didn't get any better on the night.
He said pre-tournament that he wasn't going to start Dybala, so I mean, why take him? Mauro Icardi probably would have been more useful in that situation, but I don't think it all falls on him. I think from an organisational point of view, they're terrible and need to kind of rethink their whole strategy from the ground up.
Sampaoli has claimed he's staying, but...
Well, they can't fire him because it cost him £60 million at this point, and apparently they're broke. So actually flew the Argentinian team on the same airline that crashed, that had the Chapecoense side.
Wow.
So
brilliant.
At one point, so good stuff. Moving on. Joseph, our next losers are Portugal, but before we continue, let's revisit Messi because I hear, it's in my ear now, stop, I'm acting, that Liv is on the streets of London garnering opinion about the GOAT.
After Messi's crashed out of the World Cup, what is next for the Argentinian? And without Ronaldo, who could shine as player of the tournament? So with Messi out of the tournament, what do you think is next for the Argentinian?
I don't know. He's playing, obviously still at Barcelona, so he's still a great player.
I think he's such a high caliber player. I don't think, I think he'll go again. He's such a good player.
They're both going to retire realistically from international. Ronaldo might do a Euros, but we won't see Messi again, I don't think.
Depends how injuries happen. In 4 years to be 35 years. He wouldn't be the first player to make the World Cup at 35.
He's still, he's young, he's very strong. I think he'll go again. Another World Cup, definitely.
Do you think he'll make another World Cup? He'd be 35.
I know, but he's a top boy. I think he's one of the best we've ever seen, so.
I think he's out. International career is done. I mean, 4 years is too long he's getting old now.
I don't think he's over. He's playing in what I would say is a very average Argentinian team.
Messi's 31, so I'd say he could probably do another World Cup, but he's finished.
If he was Scottish, he would still get a game for Scotland, put it that way. So
he would definitely get a game for Scotland.
Absolutely. If I had to pick one player that was going to be the player of the tournament, Suarez.
Kane.
Do you think?
Kane, he's going to do it.
Positive.
Definitely. With his hat-tricks, he's definitely going to do it. He's going to be the goal scorer of the tournament as well. Yeah.
I'm not too sure. Probably Mbappe, for France, definitely, yeah.
What about Kylian Mbappe? Do you think he's giving him a run for his money?
No, I don't think. I mean, like France doing not in goals. Kylian Mbappe is too young, whereas Kane's got some experience, and he's gonna put us. It's coming home. It's coming home.
So you don't think he'll be Harry Kane?
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. I'm sorry, I can't say that.
That's so harsh.
I know.
Who do you think could maybe come through as player of the tournament?
Harry Kane.
Yeah, you feeling confident?
It's because he's a Spurs boy. It won't be Danny Welbeck.
He's an outsider's shout.
You're regretting this now, aren't you?
Back to Portugal then, who were our first losers because they lost 2-1 to Uruguay to go out at the last 16 stage for the second time in 3 tournaments. They went out in the groups in 2014. In fact, in 7 appearances at the World Cup finals, the Seleção da Guinness have gone further than the second round just twice, once in 1966 and once in 2006. Now, Fernando Santos will feel that his side should perhaps have won the game. They had 67% possession. They had 20 shots to Uruguay's 5, although only 5 of those 20 were on target. So not very decisive, the Portuguese, though they were behind for 79 of the 92 minutes. So it's no surprise they dominated the shot count because the pressure was on them at the end, wasn't it? But 2 sublime goals, I mean, one of them was with his face, but 2 sublime goals from Edison Cavani meant that the South Americans will compete in their 5th World Cup quarter-final on Friday against France, which is a really interesting tie because neither side takes the initiative on the attack, although you'd imagine that France and Deschamps might change their tact for this game. But following the result, attention has quickly turned to Cristiano Ronaldo's future. Santos has urged the skipper to stay on, but the 33-year-old playing at another World Cup feels like an unlikely scenario.
No, he's going to play. That geezer could be playing at 44 if he wants to.
Given how good Guedes and Andre Silva have been in this tournament, or were in this tournament, I could probably see him playing at 37 because No one
retiring,
looks ready to take that mantle, do they? He's definitely gone to the Euros in it, at least, hasn't he? Meanwhile, CR7 said, "We were better than Uruguay. We leave here with our heads held high. As captain, I'm very proud of this group of players, very diplomatic from their talisman. But it was a frustrating day for the Real Madrid man, wasn't it? He took 6 shots, which was more than the entire Uruguay side, like I said, but had 4 of them blocked. That rear guard action from Uruguay, which I think you might talk about in a moment, was absolutely outstanding. They really were defending from the front. Cavani was playing left back at one point. Luis Suarez, I think Edison Cavani put in 4 tackles and interceptions in that game.
Quite possibly.
Crazy. But in 414 minutes of knockout football, Ronaldo has failed to register a single goal or an assist. That's one less than Emil Heskey, who we'll be watching our next World Cup live stream with tomorrow. Me and Big Bruno. Ooh. Come in next.
That's exciting, mate. Talking of strikers, and legendary ones at that, I actually thought Uruguay's were brilliant yesterday. Suarez's hold-up play was fantastic against the Portuguese, but Cavani will be the happier man, obviously. Like you said, 2 goals in 74 minutes from just 2 shots on target. But that injury could be a major setback for Uruguay. I think Oscar Tabarez came out after the game and said he's very doubtful for the quarter-final. It could be a serious one, enough to keep him out for the rest of the tournament. This is actually the first time at a World Cup since 1930 that Uruguay have won their opening 4 fixtures. So they will be confident because in 1930 they won the thing, didn't they? So
I knew you were going to swear.
I know. I don't know why I swore, but I did. The defensive display, you mentioned it a little bit there, was monstrous. Godin and Jimenez are brilliant at the back, and Laxalt, I think his name is, the left back with the braids. Not sure the haircut suits him, but he was fantastic on the night. Those 3 combined actually managed 15 tackles and interceptions and 19 clearances. Now Laxalt, I think, usually plays in a more midfield role for Genoa, and he was a beast, regaining possession 9 times, and the amount of times he carried the ball out from the back to win a foul was utterly brilliant. Another player I thought put in a really strong performance was Arsenal-bound Lucas Torreira. He might be small in height, but he's like a real gnat around the pitch. He's just an irritant, isn't he? He was a thorn.
Did you see him go out with his head?
Yeah, on the ground. Love it. He was a thorn in Ronaldo's side the entire game. He made 3 tackles and interceptions, 4 clearances, and won all 3 aerial duels, despite the fact he's just 5'5". But a brilliant performance from Uruguay. A lot of the pundits were kind of maybe a little bit lazily comparing them to an Atletico Madrid side and how they set up defensively. I am very impressed by the deep block they used though, because some teams have used the deep block, i.e. Russia, and still been but it has been effective for them. But with Uruguay, I feel like with Suarez and Cavani on the counter-attack, they still look dangerous.
Yeah, well, this is the first time I've watched Uruguay and actually enjoyed their performance, and that's because Portugal also a little bit defensively orientated, right? They're a counter-attacking side, so I suppose the strikers, I don't know, there's a bit more pressure on them to deliver, and they stepped up because Uruguay have been a bit dull.
But I feel like Uruguay will be one of France's hardest opposition because they're not going to come out and play against France. France aren't going to be able to use the pace of Mbappe on the counter-attack. Those long dink balls from Paul Pogba aren't going to be effective. So they're going to have to find another way of playing. Maybe that's better use of Olivier Giroud and crosses in from the flanks. But then you look at Godin and Jimenez, they've been monsters aerially. Cristiano Ronaldo didn't have a sniff in the air against them. So I think Uruguay could be a real test for France, because when France played teams that were utilising a deep block in the group stages, I thought they were really average.
Yeah.
So I'm excited for Uruguay-France. I think that Uruguay might get a result against the French.
Oh, interesting. I do think the French are a little bit more capable defensively in terms of dealing with Uruguay's Arsenal, let's say, because Rafa Guerreiro hasn't seen a lot of football pre-tournament, has he? And he was sort of shepherding Cavani down the right side, maybe. And who's playing on the right for Portugal in that game? It was the kid who's just signed for Leicester, right? Was it Pereira? I don't know. What a poor note to end on. Let's move on. Our final winners are Croatia, and let's keep this short and sweet because start good, end good, middle, not so much. Bit of a sandwich, right?
Yes, indeed. It was absolutely explosive start to the game with both Denmark and Croatia scoring after just 4 minutes. And only the second time in World Cup history that both sides have scored within the first 4 minutes. The last time it happened was Argentina versus Nigeria, which was actually in 2014, so that was a good one. But the match subsequently was utter horse, wasn't it? 9 shots on target combined for both teams. Only 2 defenders in the match made a tackle. What a stat that is. But I think the moment of the game has to be Huddersfield centre-back Zanka Jorgensen. Absolute shithousery of the finest order, channeling his inner Luis Suarez to deny, I think, was it Rebic, who was going through on goal to score an open goal. His foul obviously led to the Luka Modric penalty, which Kasper Schmeichel brilliantly saved. His dad was going ballistic in the stands, but overall, game of football.
Yes, and ultimately it went to penalties, didn't it? With both keepers putting on a show, saving a combined 5. And that's the most ever seen in a World Cup game. So well done to them. Kasper Schmeichel, very unfortunate to save 3 penalties throughout the game and come out on the losing side. This was only the second ever round of fixtures in which 2 World Cup games were both decided by a penalty shootout. The last one, yes, Joe, you know it, I know it, was on June 21st,
what a day
1986.
One of the best days of football
ever.
Common knowledge, that.
Yep. Common knowledge. Now one of Russia, Croatia, Sweden, Switzerland, Colombia, and England, or England even, are guaranteed to reach the final.
That is
what
insane.
an unpredictable tournament this has been. Has it been your favourite World Cup in the last 3 World Cups, let's say?
It's very specific.
You know, let us know in the poll. Just said it, so.
Poll it.
Beat me to it.
Adam, put it in, please.
You slow man.
Our final loser of the day has to be Spain, Hamster.
Yeah, and it could have been Spain, purely based on Sergio Ramos's lid. That,
what was he doing?
You know, he looked like he'd done it with a knife and fork. I'm not sure what was going on there. But yeah, the biggest shock of the World Cup yet was Spain being knocked out on penalties against Russia, who are officially 60 ranks below them according to FIFA. Now, Spain in this game had 79% possession and made over 1,000 passes. Only 21 fewer than Russia have managed in the entire tournament.
Yeah, I actually read a statistic that they were averaging a pass every 9 seconds.
Couldn't make the dominance count though, could they?
I don't know if that's correct.
The 2010 winners also had a huge 24 shots, with 9 coming on target compared to Russia's 7, with only 1 coming on target. However, they were reliant on an own goal, which you know Sergio Ramos tried his best to claim, didn't he?
Yeah, that's an understatement. He did claim.
Liar. But Spain, and in particular their midfield, just looked bereft of ideas going forward, didn't they? The football was very pedestrian. I think they lacked the incisiveness of someone like Iniesta. I think resting him for this game was a puzzling one. Bringing in someone with a bit more physicality like Koke was maybe to shore things up against a very robust Russian side, but he didn't really bring any qualities, any creative qualities that he's shown for Atletico into this game, and it was very deep. And it was very side to side, wasn't it? And it was very laboured. And people, you know, are calling for the death of tiki-taka, but tiki-taka is possession for possession's sake, and Spain haven't necessarily been playing that way over the last 2 or 3 tournaments. Of course, it's possession-based because they have that calibre of player, but just, I think when Diego Costa wasn't firing or isn't firing on all cylinders, they don't really have a plan B up front. Rodrigo added a bit of
I thought
impetus,
Rodrigo was good when he came on, and particularly
bit of pace.
Yeah, with his pace is what I was just about to say. The one thing I think Spain really lacked was a plan B. After them just passing Russia to death, there was literally nothing they did. They didn't open them up and expose them on the flanks. They didn't stretch the back line. I think Russia, pre-tournament and occasionally in the tournament, have really struggled against teams that are kind of explosive and run at them and stretch them, and I just don't think Spain have that option.
I think Diego Costa, bringing him off for Iago Aspas, maybe not the greatest decision in hindsight. If you're chasing the game or if you're piling pressure on, I maybe would have played 2 forwards. Not so sure.
I think his idea there was again to have more pace. I think he saw Rodrigo obviously spinning his man and then having a really good run, and then
I think I'd have left him on. But another guy, you know, who a world-class talent who didn't have the best campaign for Spain was David De Gea, who really failed to replicate his club form at this World Cup, didn't he? He got a touch to 3 of the 4 penalties. I think he maybe should have saved at least one. Cheryshev straight down the middle. Got a strong palm to that, not a strong palm to that first one, but was in a very good position to save the first one.
Definitely.
And then it flew off his hand and went in, didn't
Saves that for you.
But he only made 1 save in his 4 matches for Spain at the World Cup. But didn't see an awful lot of action, did he? But now Spain will have to do a lot of soul searching, won't they? It's easy to blame sort of Rubiales and the whole Lopetegui situation on this, but they had the calibre of player to do better at this tournament, didn't they?
They did, but that managerial decision was a bad one. It's come back to bite them in a big way, I think, and at the end of the day, a decision made on pride has cost that side potentially a World Cup quarter-final place, in my opinion anyway. But nevertheless, it was a sensational result for the host, wasn't it? Russia are the lowest ranked team in the competition, and they have reached a quarter-final for the first time in 48 years, back when they were, of course, the USSR. They're actually the first team since 1966, I believe, to score multiple own goals. What Ignashevich is doing for that first one, nobody knows. I mean, it's an incredible finish with the back of his calf, but he's literally gone WWE on Sergio Ramos. If it's not an own goal, it's a definite penalty. The rest of the game, I think they defended with a really good low block again, didn't they? Spain couldn't play their way through them, and at the end of the day, Igor Akinfeev in that penalty shootout was brilliant. The second save, I think, from Iago Aspas with his left foot is a fantastic save. He's overly committed to one side, uses his foot to keep it out, and his penalty save, I think, was it off Koke, who missed the first one as well.
Poor,
was not a best penalty, but nevertheless, he does save them. Home nation advantage at penalty shootouts does seem to be a big thing, doesn't it? They've now won each of their last 5 World Cup shootouts, home nations. I think France in '98, South Korea in 2002, Germany 2006, Brazil 2014, and now the Russians. So clearly that stadium was bouncing. There were some incredible scenes after the game and in the stadium, weren't there, in Russia. So Stanislav, how do you pronounce that second name? Cherchishov. Their side go through to the quarterfinals. He's going to be delighted because, you know, I think if he'd have gone out now, Putin probably put a bullet in his head.
Before we go then, quick preview on the England versus Colombia game, and let's have a stab at today's results. Now, reminder, we're doing a live stream for the Colombia game, so if you've got any questions on the day, get them into us. If you want to watch the game instead of listening to the commentary on your TV, then please do so. Turn that right down and crank up the dulcet tones of Emil Heskey. Joe, you're going to be in Russia for the game.
Yes, fingers crossed as long as my plane takes off. I'm actually quite excited. I think England have a very good chance. The rest they've had, I think 9 days rest is the longest of any England side of a gap since 1966. So this is a great chance. We've had 9 days rest. Everybody in that squad is fully fit. Apparently Gareth Southgate is going to revert to the same team that started against Tunisia, which means Dele Alli comes back into the midfield alongside Jesse Lingard and Jordan Henderson. I'm super excited for this game. I think England could really trouble Colombia at set pieces. Colombia have 2 centre-halves that are big units in Yerry Mina and Davinson Sanchez, but outside of them, they've only got one other player who is 6 foot plus. And England at set pieces in this tournament have been deadly. So with Kieran Trippier coming back into the team, I think England will beat Colombia thanks to at least 1 set-piece goal.
Okay, interesting, very specific. Yeah, Colombia are in good form, aren't they? In their previous 10 games, they've only lost 2 and scored 11. Radamel Falcao getting his first World Cup goal against Poland. He will be a danger given the way he's reinvented himself at club level. I'm liking the look of Quintero as well, currently playing at River Plate on loan from Porto. He's sort of been described as the poor man's James Rodriguez.
Yep, James is going to be fit though.
Which isn't the worst comparison because, yeah, apparently James is fit now. But in 3 World Cup games, Quintero has made 5 key passes, bagged 2 assists and scored 1 goal. And this is his last chance to make a real fist of it because he was supposed to come good on his talent a long time ago, but he's been playing, I think he played for Medellin, I think he's playing for River Plate now, so he's going to be fully up for this, fully motivated. James Rodriguez was a fitness concern. Apparently, according to Colombian journos, they told Henry Winter that he wasn't going to play. but now he might be.
Well, that's good for England because that means they've rushed him back.
So it's a 50-50 there. But if he's not at full form, then that really takes a sting out of their attack, doesn't it? I think England are going to edge this. I think it's going to be close. I'm going to go for 2-1. What about today's games though?
So first game, we've got Mexico versus Brazil. I'm going to go for a shot there as well. I'm going to go for a Mexico win. I think Mexico have marked Brazil's few seasons, and it's just not been that convinced by Brazil so far at this tournament. Outside of Coutinho, I really don't think they're creating enough.
No, but you know, Neymar, he's going to be extra motivated for this game, isn't he? As he's had a fairly poor tournament so far. I think he's gone to ground every 9 minutes in this tournament.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think, especially watching the Mexicans versus the Germans playing on the counter-attack, there's something exciting about Mexico counter-attacking teams, and I think Brazil are going to want to attack Mexico today, so it might play right into their hands.
Did you also watch Mexico against Sweden? When they lost 3-0.
Yeah, no, I didn't. I don't think that was.
Although that was
TV, was it?
somewhat unfortunate. They did create a lot of chances, but they do leave themselves exposed. And the general fitness of the side seems to deteriorate pretty quickly after 70 minutes. Brazil, not so much. They're a very, very fit side, very well organised.
So what's the score you're going for?
I think they should have scored more goals up to this point. I'm going to go with 3-1 Brazil. I think they made light work of them.
I'll go 1-0 Mexico.
And then quickly Senegal?
No,
they're out.
Belgium, Japan.
Belgium, Japan, yeah.
Belgium are going to have way too much for the Japanese. 3-0 Belgium.
I think it'll be tighter than we imagined. Japanese are pretty well organised. I'm 2-1.
There we go. So those will both be wrong. Probably both games will go to penalties or something.
But let us know your results in the comments below, guys. That is the World Cup review until we're doing it on Wednesday on Football Daily. So catch us then. Bye-bye.
Bye.